Hello, my name is Tom, and in this video I will solve SquareCells puzzle number 22. Now, I am a bit drunk, so this might take a bit longer, but I thought it would be interesting to see how I can solve a puzzle when I'm in this state of mind. Let's put it like this. Okay, I marked all the group clues. I think there's nothing that I can deduce from these clues yet. No, it doesn't look like it. So let's start with the column clues. I have two connected squares at the top of this column, so they have to be marked like this with a gap here. 2, gap 1. That doesn't help. We have 6 squares and only 6 squares in this column, so they have to be positioned like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like this, or like this, or like this. So first of all I can delete those 2 squares, and these 4 squares here are definitely parts of these 6 connected squares. This column clue doesn't help yet, I think. Let's count this clue here. We have 2 connected squares, 1, 2, a gap, 1, 2, 3, a gap, and 1, 2, no wait, not 1, 2, 3, that's 1, 2, gap, 1, 2, gap, 1, 2, 3 from this side, and if I count from this side, 1, 2, 3, gap, 1, 2, gap, 1, 2. So these squares are definitely part of the solution. Here let's count again. 1 gap, 1 gap, 1, 2. Let's mark this one, gap, 1, 2. Yes, these 2 also have to be parts of the solution, because if I count from the other side, we have 1, 2, gap, 1, 2, and we will definitely hit these 2 squares with the 2 times 2 connected squares. Now in this column I only have separate squares, so let's separate this square here. Here I don't have any clue, I can't do anything here. And this one, wait, we have 10 squares. Yeah, I can complete this column also, because I need 5 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 gap squares, so that's 10 all in all, and I have 10 squares in this column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a gap, 1 square, a gap, and 2 squares, and I can delete the gaps in between like this. So now it's time to look at the row clues. No, actually, no, let's start with the row clues here. I don't have clues here. Let's see, 2 and 3 and 1. 1, 2, gap, 1, 2, 3, gap. The 1 separate square at the end has to be like this, obviously. And the 3 connected squares can only be positioned like 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. So those 2 squares have to be marked for the 3 connected squares in this row. In this row I only have separate squares, so I can delete these squares and this one here. Here it looks like I can complete this already. 1 gap, 1 gap, 1, 2, gap, 1, gap, 1, yes. So that's like this. And I can delete the gaps in here, like this. Here I have 1, let's count again, 1 gap, 1 gap, 1, 2, gap, 1, 2. Yes, I can also complete this row like this and this. Okay. Here I have a separate square at the end of the row. I can delete this square, and here I need 3 squares somewhere here, obviously, and 2 squares there, because these 2 squares cannot be connected. We would have a result of 4 connected squares, so there has to be a gap either here or here. So the 2 connected squares can be completed like this or like this, and the 3 connected squares can be completed like this or like this. So I have 2 squares marked here, and I can delete these 2 squares. Now looking at this clue at the bottom here, we have 2 connected squares at the end. That also completes the group of 3 connected squares, so I can delete these 2 squares. Now I do need 3 connected squares in this section, and they definitely have to touch these 2 squares, because we have it either like this or like that. Now here I can also see, since I only have 1 square left to put in here or here, for the group of 3 connected squares I need 2 squares up here in this row. So I can mark this one already. And the one square here is positioned either like this or like that. So let's now look at... No, wait. I missed this one here before. I have 4 connected squares in this section here already, so I can delete these 2 squares and these 2 squares actually. Does that help in this row also? 2, 1, no it doesn't. So let's look at the column clues again. We have 2 squares marked already up here. 2 connected squares are marked here, so I can delete these 2. And I only have 1 separate square left at the bottom of this column, so let's delete this one. And now I can complete the group of 3 connected squares like this here. This clue doesn't help anymore, I think. No. In this column we only have separate squares, so I can delete these 2 squares, but I can't yet deduce the position of the other 2 separate squares. Here we need 2 squares at the top. I don't yet know where here. And here this column can actually be completed because we need 2 times 2 connected squares at the bottom. We have 2 here and 2 here, so I can delete this one. And now we need 2 separate squares, and in 3 available squares they can only be positioned like this. I can delete this square here for sure. Now in this column we have 4 separate squares, and 2 of these squares, the last 2 squares, have to go into this section here, either like this, or like this. So I need those 2 squares up here to take the top 2 squares, so one has to be here. No clue here yet. Here also I can't use that now, and here this is completed, but actually I can do more with this sequence of 5 connected squares, because I have a group of 6 connected squares, so I need either this or this square to complete it. I can't use this one because then we end up with a much bigger group already, so I can delete this square, and the group of 6 connected squares can only be completed like this. So that means I can also delete this square here. Now looking at the group clues again here, this one obviously has to extend until here, because otherwise it would be cut off, and it would end up with 3 connected squares only. Okay, so now we look at the row clues again. Nothing changed in this row. Here we need 1 more separate square, which can only be positioned here. Here we need 2 connected squares and 1 separate square. The separate square here can only be positioned here or here, so that means the 2 connected squares have to be in here. And here we have 3 connected squares in the beginning of the row, so let's mark this one. The 2 connected squares can be... No, they can't be here, because I see now that this row, this column is completed already, so the 2 connected squares can only be positioned like this. Here we need 3 connected squares, and I don't yet know if they are here or here. Oh yes, now I do know, because in this column we need 2 more separate squares. One is in here already, separate like this, so the remaining separate square can only be here, and that means the 3 connected squares in this row are completed like this. I can delete this square too. Now let's look at the columns again. Here I have 6 connected squares, and they are marked already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so I can delete these 2 squares. And the remaining 2 separate squares at the top of this column can only be positioned like this. And these 2 squares are marked already here, so I can delete this square. Now I can also complete this group of 4 connected squares here, because they obviously can't touch here, the group of 15 connected squares, so they can only be positioned like this, and this square has to be deleted. So what else do we have? We have 3 connected squares here that have to be positioned like this, and we need 1 more square that has to be positioned like this in this row here. So that leaves me only with removing this 1 square here, and it's this one. And once I do this, the puzzle is complete. Thanks for watching. I hope you had fun watching this video, even though I was a bit drunk, and I hope to see you again in my next video when I will solve puzzle number 23. Bye!